Hi guys, I've been racking my brain for some time trying to understand why Rishi Sunak became an MP and eventually Prime Minister. He clearly doesn't need the money. He probably spends his entire government salary on tailor-made short trousers. Then the natural response would be, well, he's there because he cares about people. He wants to help them. He wants what's best for them. He wants to fight for those people living in his area who don't have a voice. Well, that obviously isn't the reason either. So I have hinted in the past at the prospect of him looking after his peers, multimillionaires, hedge fund managers, people who have money in offshore bank accounts. But commentator Jemma Forte has perhaps pointed out that Rishi Sunak's existence as a politician is motivated by interests a bit closer to home.
Let's start with the Observer. Who wants to tackle that? This is about Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, and actually I was just looking at some of the reaction online there, because this is, in my opinion, corruption in plain sight. Rishi Sunak, let's get this straight, faces new conflict of interest row. This is the third in just a few weeks. So Sunak's wife, we all know, is part of an incredibly wealthy family, and her father's company is Infosys. And they did a massive over $1 billion deal with BP just before Rishi Sunak gave out 100 licenses to oil and gas. So there's a conflict of interest there. And then there was the row where he inadvertently prioritised his wife's gave a government contract to a childcare agency. And so she benefited again, they benefited again. And now, just before the G20 summit in New Delhi, it looks like if there is a trade deal done with India, again, who could benefit here? Not necessarily the British people, not the people who Rishi Sunak should be working on behalf of as our Prime Minister, but Infosys, because they are part of, hang on a minute, the UK's work visa system. Okay, so Indian IT companies, including Infosys, already among the biggest users of the UK's work visa system. So if a deal is done and it includes a lot of migration over here, he will be making money out of it. Now how is that acceptable? How are we being all right with that? That is corruption in plain sight. And it just begs the question, who is Sunak working for? Is he working for us, or is he working for himself?
I'm sure he'd say he's working for us.
I think he would say that, but
do you know what you think?
In my opinion,
I mean, I think
he's working for his family. He's putting his family before the interests of Britain. He's putting his family before the interests of the Prime Minister. You know, it's becoming more and more clear that Rishi Sunak's motivation to become a member of Parliament or to become Prime Minister is to look after his family's interests. I said, you know, he's not there for the money. It's a pittance to him. He's not there for his constituents. He's not representing them. He doesn't care about the people of Britain. How many more contracts does his family have to win before people realise that Rishi Sunak is there to benefit his family? You know, when it came to sanctions in Russia, Infosys are still operating there as far as I know. Why hasn't he called on them to pull their operations from Russia? Why hasn't the company been sanctioned? Because it's run by his father-in-law. Like, Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives are turning Britain into a banana republic. You know, a tin pot dictatorship where, you know, where government contracts are given to family members, not even friends anymore. You know, the Tories are about giving out contracts to friends and donors, but Rishi Sunak is bringing an even closer, you know, Gaddafi-style government where, you know, government contracts are given to family members. This is insane. And of course, you know, if, as was pointed out here by Jemma, if the UK government signs a trade deal with India, and one of the requirements of the Indian government is freedom of movement for Indian people into Britain, this will require a bureaucracy. And who's going to win the contract for the bureaucracy? Well, it's looking more and more likely that it'll be Infosys, which of course, as I said, is run by Rishi Sunak's father-in-law. And his daughter, of course, has an interest in Infosys as well, which indirectly means that Rishi Sunak has an interest in Infosys. Not a direct interest, but of course he's benefiting if his wife is benefiting. And there's no mention of this. Yes, conflict of interest. But will anything be done? Will the Prime Minister be held to account over this? Probably not. This, as Jemma has pointed out, is corruption in plain sight. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.